The crimson forests of Zephyria Prime stretched endlessly beneath twin suns, their canopy alive with the chittering of apex predators that had ruled this world for millennia. Anna crouched behind a crystalline boulder, her human heart hammering against her ribs as she watched the massive thornback stalker emerge from the undergrowth. The creature stood 12 feet tall, its obsidian carapace gleaming with natural armor that had turned aside plasma bolts from Galactic Federation hunters for centuries. "Target acquired," she whispered into her comm, eyes never leaving the beast. "Helen, you in position?" Her partner's voice crackled through the static. "Ready when you are, though I still think you're insane for doing this with primitive weapons." Anna smiled grimly, adjusting her grip on the composite bow she'd crafted from local materials. The Vulpine Council had declared humanity unworthy of joining the elite Hunters Guild, claiming their species lacked the primal instinct necessary for true predation. They pointed to humanity's reliance on technology, their pack-hunting methods, their apparent softness compared to the galaxy's apex species. The Vulpine Huntress, Zyara, had been particularly vocal in her dismissal. "Humans are scavengers," she'd sneered, her fox-like features twisted with disdain. "They hide behind their machines and call it hunting. No true predator would stoop to such cowardice." That insult had burned in Anna's chest for weeks, until she'd proposed this hunt to prove them wrong. The thornback stalker began its feeding. Ritual, its razor-sharp proboscis extending toward a fallen herbivore. Anna knew she had seconds before it would sense her presence. These creatures had evolved senses beyond anything in the known galaxy. They could detect heartbeats from a kilometer away, smell fear pheromones across continents. But Anna had spent months studying them, learning their patterns, understanding their blind spots. She'd watched from hidden perches as they hunted, noting how they relied so heavily on their enhanced senses that they'd grown complacent about visual threats from above. She nocked her arrow, a shaft carved from ironwood and tipped with a point, forged from the creature's own shed scales. The irony wasn't lost on her. She was using the beast's own biology against it, a hunting technique as old as humanity itself. The arrow flew true, punching through the narrow gap between carapace plates just below the creature's skull. The thornback stalker reared back, its death shriek echoing across the forest, but Anna was already moving, rolling aside as the beast's tail swept through the space she'd occupied moments before. "Now, Helen," she shouted. Her partner emerged from concealment on the creature's blind side, wielding a spear tipped with concentrated poison extracted from the local flora. The Vulpines had mocked this too, using environmental resources instead of relying purely on physical prowess. But as Helen drove the spear deep between the creature's ribs, Anna felt vindicated in their approach. The thornback stalker staggered, its movements becoming sluggish as the neurotoxin spread through its system. Within minutes, the apex predator of Zephyria Prime lay still. Anna stood over the fallen creature, breathing heavily. She could hear movement in the underbrush. Their hunt had attracted attention. The Vulpine observation team emerged from their concealed positions, led by Zyara herself. The huntress's amber eyes were wide with disbelief as she examined the fallen thornback. Her sensitive nose twitched as she caught the scent of the hunt, the fear, the adrenaline, the primal satisfaction of a successful kill. "Impossible," she breathed, her voice barely above a whisper. "No one has brought down a thornback with primitive weapons in over 3 centuries. Anna wiped sweat from her brow, leaving a streak of the creature's dark blood across her forehead. "You said humans weren't true predators, that we were too dependent on technology, too soft." Zyara circled the massive corpse, her vulpine features betraying a complex mix of emotions: shock, respect, and something else Anna couldn't quite identify. The huntress knelt beside the creature, running her claws along the precise placement of Anna's arrow. "The shot placement," Zyara murmured, her voice growing husky. "You knew exactly where to strike. And the poison. You used the forest itself as your ally." She looked up at Anna with newfound respect blazing in her eyes. "This wasn't just hunting, this was art." Helen moved to Anna's side, equally winded but grinning with triumph. So much for human cowardice, right? Ziara stood slowly, her gaze never leaving Anna's face. There was something predatory in her stare now, but not threatening, admiring. I was wrong, she admitted, her voice barely controlled. Wrong about everything, this kind of hunting, this understanding of prey, environment, and timing. She took a step closer to Anna, her breathing shallow. This is what true predation looks like. The other Vulpines murmured among themselves, their earlier skepticism replaced by grudging acknowledgement. But Ziara seemed transfixed, her pupils dilated as she studied Anna with new appreciation. The way you moved, Ziara continued, her voice dropping to an almost intimate whisper. The patience, the precision, the absolute commitment to the kill. She shook her head in wonder. In all my cycles of hunting, I've never seen such purity of purpose. Anna felt a flush of pride at the acknowledgement, but there was something else in Ziara's tone that made her pulse quicken. The Vulpine Huntress was looking at her with an intensity that transcended mere professional respect. Only a hunter like that should breed, Ziara whispered, her voice breathless with admiration and something deeper. The galaxy needs more predators who understand the true nature of the hunt. The comment hung in the air between them, loaded with implications that extended far beyond the successful completion of their trial. Anna met Ziara's gaze steadily, recognizing the profound shift that had occurred, not just in how the Vulpines viewed humanity, but in how they viewed her specifically. The hunt was over, but Anna suspected her real adventures on Zephyria Prime were just beginning.